I will call our meeting to order. And so I reviewed the agenda. It's a straightforward agenda, so can I have it moved to a motion to approve the agenda?
I approve, make a
You
motion.
make that
to
motion.
approve.
And I have a second?
I have a second. I'll
All in
second.
favor?
Aye.
Okay. I don't see a copy of the minutes on the
It's-
table here.
it's in the
It's
back.
attached to the, it's attached to the agenda.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And the great minutes,
Sean.
it does lead me to ask whether,
There's a few different things there.
has anything happened with the idea of making a survey at the bike park? Anything happened with that at all?
That was kind of up to Sean. Maybe it wasn't clear. It was up to Sean, but I was leaning on him to make that call because he's the one collecting, the data and kind of
Yeah.
doing that.
Well,
So-
Darren mentioned that maybe it could be a student project as
Yeah,
well.
yeah, and I did not follow up on that. I
Okay.
completely forgot.
That's all right. I'm just, that's kind of why we do the minutes.
But I can follow, I will follow up now that.
Yeah, maybe you can coordinate
Yeah, I'll see what I can do.
with, yeah, with Sean. and-
Yeah, no,
Absolutely.
I can do that.
Okay, can I have a motion to approve these wonderful minutes?
I'll move to approve the minutes.
And a second, please?
Yeah, I'll second it.
Okay, all in favor of approving the minutes as written? Aye?
Aye.
Oh, very good, thank you. All right. There are no members of the public here today, so we will move on to old business. And Stu put out a flyer to the radio station and to who else, or that
Oh,
press release, I'm
Yeah.
sorry.
yeah. I could probably pull that up. Find it. There's that. I think that is not yet. See, Elkhorn.
Someone is coming in.
Is it? It
It's,
might be Jazzy.
Yeah, it's
Jazzy,
Jazzy,
yeah.
yeah.
Okay, good.
So we'll,
Jazzy was gonna try to make it. Well, it's probably not. It's probably the Facebook page, maybe.
Let's get some more chairs.
Or they just deleted it, so it's like,
Come on in.
picture.
Hi, guys.
There's some chairs.
back over
Hello, Elkhorn. How about?
Thank you. Where did you leave your contact center?
That'll be fine.
Thank you.
You're more than welcome.
More than welcome. Just give you a picture of the playground really soon. It's gonna be amazing.
Oh, there it is.
There it is. Out with the old. Okay, so here's the press release. It's a zoom button. Try this. Hey, that kind of works. Except for, can I grab it?
should be able to.
Sure can't. Okay, well, there you go. Anyway, this is a press release. Had some help from David on it, had some help from others. Essentially, it just talks about that April 28th is demolition day and that the grant dollars are wrong because I didn't write that part. I wrote this part down here. It's funny how Elkhorn does that. They sometimes make their own things up and it's not always right. So anyway, that's fine. This is the part I wrote. So Monday, April 28th is demolition day. And then it says here that the handprint plaques are going to be saved. And it says that the fence pickets are going to be saved and they can be picked up. So that's all in this press release. And just for entertainment value. Oh no.
That's entertaining.
That's
Yeah.
beautiful.
That's a beautiful, is that Silver Falls?
No. It's just a canned photo.
Oh, okay.
Okay, comments would be back on
Yeah.
Facebook. Wasn't that where it was? Oh, yeah. Okay, so here's the fun. This really breaks my heart. So Facebook provides you all the negative comments. In case you want to read them, they're right here. There's 40 of them. So,
They're all negative?
well,
Most of them.
95%,
Fun.
because that's what people do.
Yeah.
on Facebook.
Yeah, but, okay, I'm not on Facebook. What are they upset about?
Just nonsense.
Change.
It's ugly. I missed the old one. Why did they do such a poor job in planning? Who did they talk to? All those things.
Where's the splash pad?
Yeah.
You know, here's what it says why. How do I get my handprint? Well, they didn't read it because it says right there your handprints will be available. So it's just the way people are on Facebook, right? It's quick and they don't read it all and then it's negative. So don't have to pay attention to that. I just think it's kind of entertaining because I like to be a public official, right? And be, you know, beat up a little bit. It's just kind of funny. Anyway, we have to worry about that. It's up. And people know now that it's coming down, so go kiss it and hug it before April 28th. And then
Can we
it'll be
keep
gone
the
forever.
red swing?
The swing stay.
Not that one.
Oh.
That's a good question. I have to look that up because there's supposed to be a similar one.
Very cool.
Yeah.
That's the first time I've ever heard that through this whole,
Yeah.
watching this whole process, so.
Yep,
We've been very sad in regards to the red swings.
Yep.
So.
Okay, is there anything else that,
Yeah, there's a couple other
commission should know?
things. There's still volunteer opportunities. We still need people to show up and help build from May 13th until May 23rd. That's when our contractors are here. We're gonna raise the barn. I would be happy to send out the spreadsheet with times and stuff. You guys can fill in if you have any time during the day to come help or
I would
email
appreciate
people.
getting that spreadsheet
Yeah.
or a link to it.
I'll send it. Also, RD Mac agreed to discount the concrete to only $100 a yard. I don't know what concrete costs. Probably more than $100 a yard.
Oh, yeah, I just poured 10 yards of concrete.
Yeah, so I think it's more like
$100.
$300 a yard is what I heard
No, it's
last.
not that much, but yeah.
But it's a good discount. And then, of course, I've been in constant contact with the playground rep to finalize the accessible surfacing and the other things, the other small details like the, you know, with the contractor and all the little things that go into that. So, hot and heavy playground. Now's the time.
Safe routes to school.
Do you want to, Mr. Chair, backpedal and do public comment since?
Well,
or do
I was
introductions or
gonna
anything?
get to that. I
Okay.
thought we should get through this
Sure.
chunk and then we've got a newcomer in
Great.
back of me. I wanna have him introduce himself.
Great.
But I was gonna get through old business and then. So safe routes to school, anything new on that?
Go ahead, Chris.
We had a kind of meeting yesterday. It was me and one other person. So, no, not much new.
Okay, Sean, Mr. Lerner, anything new on the,
The bike park.
still got that thing on the 21st?
21st. If you can come,
There's a flyer
you
shirt,
come.
yeah.
And tell people to come. Other than that, not much
If you guys can come to that, or if you guys can come to that, grab one of those colored ones. And that is, it's important for everybody to show up, but also Travel Oregon's making an effort to include underrepresented communities, and including disabled community, LGBTQ, you know, Micronesian, Pacific Islanders, et cetera, because oftentimes those groups get left out in the planning. So one of the concerted efforts we made is to fill a spreadsheet that had representatives in those different sort of represented groups. So that's an opportunity to come. I think I said that right.
Is this being advertised anywhere else, Sean? Like flyers on campus or anything like that?
I need to do. There's some around town, but I probably need to put some up around.
Well,
campus
just I'm
or
thinking
see if
maybe
Nicole
talk to
can-
marketing upstairs, if that was, we're going to get some around.
Yeah.
Just because I think that when you're talking about, there are people on campus that use lots of bike
Yeah.
related things, and that, and it also tends to be a little bit more of a diverse population if that's one of the targets, so
Yeah.
I think it's a relevant thing to do.
There's a QR code. Come on, Sean, do all this. You got it.
Yeah, there's a QR code. You can read. We're asking people to RSVP ahead of time if possible, just
Oh,
so
okay.
we have a rough idea of how many people are coming.
It is free food and
Yeah,
drinks.
free food, drinks.
Alcoholic drinks?
Yeah.
Ooh. Yeah, yeah.
And we're giving away 2 BMX bikes also in a
Ooh.
raffle. So I know you want one of those.
Oh, yeah.
So completely off topic, I went to the dump the other day, I found 4 sets of excellent loppers.
Ah,
And I put, they're in the back of my truck, just waiting for somebody that does trail maintenance.
all right, yeah, I could use those.
Okay, can we move on to the CHD project then?
Mhm.
Yeah,
Oh, one last thing. So that's gonna hit the news tomorrow. Chris is putting together the press release stuff for, like, we need to send to our email crew too. And then he's got like a, whatever else, like a Facebook post and Elkhorn and the rest of it, so.
and that's relating
That's
to
happening
the
this
21st?
Yeah.
Fine. Okay, is there anything actually happening on that CHD project for the not park course?
The
For
what?
the thing that's not a park course?
Oh, well, the fitness stations have been ordered, the trees have been ordered, we're still waiting on shade canopies, those are the big 3. So it's just mostly an update that things are moving in the right direction.
Okay,
And are they contributing to the splash pad?
Well, not yet,
Not yet, okay.
they will.
They will.
Most likely.
Can they get us some trees in the skate park to replace the ones that got?
Well,
Okay.
they're on schedule
Sure.
for
We're gonna-
in a couple weeks.
we're gonna backtrack just a little bit and welcome members of the public who showed up just a tiny little bit late, but that's all right. And I haven't met you, and I have met you, so introduce yourself, please.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, I am Scott Vanison. I've been in the community of LeGrand since November of 2020. I am one of Jasmine's PSWs, caretakers.
VANNESON? Okay. Where'd you move here from in 2020?
I moved here from Jalp, Graham, Spanaway area, Tacoma.
Okay, fantastic. The West Coast, we came east.
Yeah.
Good. Okay, I'm gonna reopen us to public comments. and
Well,
see
one
if-
more that wasn't here last time.
But I know, I know you from Miller's, that's it. Duh.
You
Yeah,
come in
yeah.
quite often.
Yeah, okay. You do.
My name is Carson Cupid, and I am Jazzy's partner for our FCCLA project.
And tell me your name again, please.
Carson Cupid,
Carson is with a K or a C?
SC.
And spell your last name
Should've
for me.
worked last time.
I did have to work last time. I actually got off like 30 minutes early, luckily, for this.
Okay, last name, spell it please.
CUPIT.
Okay. That's great. And you're working on an FTLA
No,
project?
FCCLA. So Family Community Career Leaders of America.
My son is involved in that.
Oh yeah, who?
Ephraim.
He's an FBLA.
Yeah.
Yep. FBLA is Future Business Leaders of
Oh.
America. We just went to FBLA last week.
A little different.
Yeah,
Yep, just a
different.
little
Not
bit
quite the
different.
same. Okay.
There's an LA in it.
Yeah.
Just,
I can't,
One more
I
time,
can't
Carson,
keep track of
family.
it.
yeah,
Family Community Career Leaders of America.
FC. Okay. Is there anything you want to share with the commission before we move right along with our agenda?
Yeah, actually we do have a couple questions. So we noticed that Pioneer and Bernie are open. Is Riverside still under
No,
what?
it's open.
It is open? Okay,
Yes.
awesome. And
Yeah.
then
There was a main water leak there.
yeah, we
Just got fixed.
yeah, okay. I was just wondering, you said late
Yeah.
week and I was like, okay,
Just open today.
awesome. And then it's for Chris.
Yes.
Yeah. So for the Arts for All, I
Yes.
emailed you and then so April 26th, what time would that be?
So the event itself is 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. Set up and, getting your table and your arts and crafts, whatever you're
Is,
doing
like,
organized,
earlier?
is like 9:30. So
9:30? How do they go about registering for people?
they don't need to, they just gotta make sure they email me and tell me how do they need 1 or 2 tables, how many of them are coming, and then what they're doing, like what art or craft they're doing.
Okay.
Are you providing supplies or any budget?
If
stuff?
people need supplies, I've always advertised it that way. way.
Okay.
We were also gonna like call a couple places and see if they would give donations, cause I think are you guys still gonna do the like bubble painting or all-inclusive sort of painting, and however you can paint is how you can paint,
Yeah.
Yeah,
so.
If you need stuff, I
just
can
let,
get. Yeah,
okay, we will let you know.
try not to offer it for everyone because.
Right.
Yes, I get that.
I can't read this one. Can you help me?
Nice copy,
Jazzy, where's your keyboard?
It died.
I died. That's always the excuse.
Wait,
we
that
use.
happened last time too.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh, Miss Jazzy.
Day around 2:30, as anything does, we're in the process of trying to get her approved for a new one, through Shriners and her programs.
Yeah, we're working on, it will sometimes last until the afternoon, depending on how long she leaves it running, and I honestly should have put it in her backpack this morning, but.
So Carson, you got another one?
Yeah, so at the last meeting, Crystal wrote down that you guys said something about enhancements would be addressed for Morgan Lake. Is there any updates for that?
There's gonna be some discussion about Morgan Lake at the end of our meeting today.
Oh, okay.
And we can probably fold that in at that point. Morgan Lake is not specifically on our agenda, so we
Mhm.
can't discuss it in terms of making decisions
Yeah,
of
and
any kind or doing action of any kind. But there will be some discussion of Morgan Lake at the end of our meeting today, during
okay.
the commissioner
Is it
comments
open
part.
yet to the community?
Not yet.
April 22nd.
April 22nd.
All right, so we're gonna move along then.
Are you good, Carson? Get more?
Just one more, and it's just.
Oh,
I
I'm
think-
sorry.
No, it's okay. This is the last one, I promise. The Bernie Park, the bathrooms. When was that one built? Cause that's the newer one over at, right across from EOU.
It's in that file cabinet right there, but I don't expect you to dig through it right now.
Yeah,
Well, that's where it's at. We'll have to look it up.
Okay, thank you. And that's everything.
Okay, great. Let's move along then to the interesting subject of summer programming, and I think
Yeah.
You can read
There's
that?
a little handout for people that just says summer at a glance. Basically, everything is up from our weekly summer camps to our events and a couple adult sports, which adult soccer is one of them. But the camps we do weekly camps for 9 straight weeks. They're every day of the week except for the week of 4th of July. We just do it till Thursday. I almost have a full staff for all those camps already. I have mostly people returning from last summer, which is really
Fantastic.
awesome. And I have a couple more interviews. I interviewed a couple people last month for summer work, so that's really nice when people are coming to me well beforehand. So, but yeah, those camps vary from, we do some simple STEM project camps to I'm gonna buy a bunch of Lego stuff because I've seen a bunch of kids really liking that, so we'll do a Lego camp. And then when we get in the middle of the summer and it's really hot, we do like a water type camp where there's like slip and slides and water guns and stuff like that to keep cool.
what would be the drop off for spare Lego parts?
You can just bring it to my office if you want.
Okay, so
There's
over by the
at the
pool?
pool. I'm at the pool. Yeah, just bring them by. I'll take spare. So, there's also specialty camps, which we have a couple rock climbing ones up at EOU. Those are really popular. I'm working on a couple others, but I don't have all those posted yet because I don't want to start posting some and then plans fall through. So I'm currently working with Ricky at Art Center East on a couple arts specific specialty camps, and I'm waiting for her before I post them because I don't want to post them and then she says, oh, that date actually doesn't work, and then I have to change everyone. I got people registered, now I'm changing dates. So those specialty camps are a little bit easier to wait to post because they're only like I do 1 or 2 per month, so 1 in June, a couple in July, 1 in August, so only a handful. And they're only 3 days a week, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday for 2 hours, so they're a little bit simpler. But yeah, working with Ricky Joe on that, and then there's all the events, so we're basically booked up on our concerts in the park. I think I need 1 or 2 more acts for like the last couple weeks. That runs the week after 4th of July on Thursdays at Riverside. It's really fun. A lot of people like to just come do it. They don't really care how much they get paid. They just want like playing music in the park, and it's a good time when it's not terribly hot or something else going on. And then we are doing the Morgan Lake Regatta again, which is it used to be just music up at the Morgan Lake, and now I've made it into build your own boat race. So last year we had 6 or 7 people build boats, which was really cool. So we'll do that. We have the 3-on-3 basketball tournament happening out here at Coleman Courts again. We'll do that again. And then we have Moonlight softball tournament, which we're going to try to run one more time, because last year we didn't get enough teams, so we're going to try it again this year and see how that goes. And then we have adult softball, which didn't run last year, based off the team model, make your team register. So I've changed it to the individual registration like I've done with all our other adult sports, basically to see if that model works for that sport. I've heard some people say that they're happy doing that, and then most of the people that used to play in the softball league aren't very happy about that. So we'll see what happens. But yeah.
So the Moonlight Softball League, that used to be, the softball tournament, it used to be huge.
Yeah, so when Optimus used to run it, man, at one point there was a men's only bracket, and then there was a co-ed bracket, and the men's would get like 40, 50 teams, and the co-ed would get like 20, 30
Right.
teams.
Yeah.
And then they moved it to co-ed only because there were issues,
Sure.
clearly, when you're playing all night and there's drinking involved and grown men. So what could go wrong? So they switched it to co-ed, and they were still getting 30, 40 teams. And then Optimus obviously hasn't had the same numbers, and between that and COVID, it just kind of died.
Mm-hmm.
When we took it over a few years ago, the first year we did it, we had 15 teams. The second year we had 16 teams, and then last year I only had 5 sign up.
Well,
So
okay.
I'm not sure what's going on.
I'm remembering like the 50 teams
Yeah.
and the camping all over
Yeah.
the park and all night long, I had lights in my window. And
15, 20 years
so,
ago, yeah.
Yeah, it used to be pretty wild. But
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hear the music at like 3 in the morning because they'd be playing a game, the whole thing.
but, yeah, that's summer programming at a glance. It's all up on the website, minus like I said, the specialty camps. So.
You don't start until June 16th?
Yeah, I take a week, so that way most of my staff are high schoolers, so I take that week between school getting out and that to like bring them in, train them, show them the stuff, and then we start the next week. So, yeah.
Okay. So, when is the commission's last meeting before our summer break? No?
It is. It's the second Thursday of June, so maybe that would be the 12th.
Okay.
So there's no meetings in July
Or August.
or August,
Yeah.
okay.
Generally, it's up to your discretion, but that's what we've done for.
I'm not
a while.
usually in town
Yeah,
then,
That's
so.
been yeah.
So if you need help with anything,
Yeah.
and members of the commission can either network or whatever,
Yeah.
be sure to let us know,
For sure.
before that June meeting.
Yeah, that Morgan Lake Regatta is always nice to have extra sets of people with kayaks or anything like that, just to be out on the water for safety reasons and stuff like that. So
That's a rough ass. That's up your alley, Steve.
What time is that? What date?
it's usually in the evening. I have it. Was it July 19th at like 6 p.m. So
You can have your sailboat out there.
Nah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Okay. Well, that's an exciting lineup. I'm stoked. That's great
Yeah.
work. That's a lot of work. That's what it is.
just a little bit.
So staff reports. Mark's not here for aquatics.
Yeah, he went to
but-
the lifeguard training thing.
That was in his summary that was attached.
Yeah. So did y'all have any questions about his I think the biggest news, underwater Easter egg hunt is April 18th, and that he completed his Red Cross certification to teach CPR and first aid classes. So we're gonna start offering those more often. And my favorite, the top of a filter blew up, and the basement filled with a foot of water. And so we that was fun.
Again, filled with a foot of water.
Yeah, it's a good time.
When did that happen?
I don't know.
A couple weeks ago.
A couple weeks ago. Yeah.
It blew off because it broke, it failed,
Yeah.
yeah.
It's a really wonky setup. There's like plastic threads and a plastic top, and it's like,
Yeah.
so must have been a surge or something in the
Mhm.
pump, but it blew up. So I ran to Hood River and met the guy and grabbed the filter. Put it in. That was $7,000 we didn't expect to spend.
Yeah,
Was there damage to the building?
Not really. Just
Keegan said that Joe was here. Was he part of that maintenance work, or because he works for a maintenance company now? I think
he's a sales rep, basically.
sales rep. Was that why he was here? Or was he just here visiting?
He's both.
Okay.
He wasn't here because of the filter.
Yeah. Okay.
But he was here for other things. There's a meeting in Boardman that they were at, and then Joe just came over here and did some technical assistance.
Okay. I'm just curious. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Joe's nice about that. Doesn't charge us for that.
That's Joe.
He used to work here, so it's
Yeah,
okay.
I know.
You know that.
I do.
Okay, Chris, you wanna do the recreation report?
I mean,
Is there anything to,
not really. I just kind of blasted through everything. Our Pee Wee soccer starts this Saturday. We have 130 kids, so 12 teams. Coaches stepped up pretty fast. I only had to find like 3 or 4, but they all stepped up really fast, which is super helpful. So that'll run for 5 weeks at Benton Park. I just painted today. That's why I got paint all over my hands. So. But that's about it. Adult soccer registration's still open. It's up high. I can't remember what the number is, but it's higher than that now. It's like closer to 30. So
22 is what you reported?
yeah, it's more than that now.
all right, if there's no questions about recreation, then, Stu, your turn.
Yeah, nothing exciting except for Stu's been nominated by the governor to join the Oregon Parks and Recreation Commission, so I have a Senate confirmation hearing on Monday, so I'll have to travel to Salem to do that. So it'd be kinda cool to be one of 6 people in the state representing that, so.
Yeah.
Pretty cool.
Congratulations. Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Good luck.
I mean, the pay is 0, so.
Yeah. Yeah. It's the recognition you're doing it for, right? Right. Sue?
The fame.
The fame.
Fame.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do any of the commissioners have, volunteer hours to report?
I got 4.
So
You wanna make a
I
note?
need, so attached to the emails should be the volunteer timesheet.
Okay,
Look for that,
and fill it
fill
out.
it out, bring it, or email it to me.
I will.
Because I need, City Hall wants dates and times.
Okay.
I think I've been including those in most of my,
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so pending business, is there any,
nothing there, unless you guys have some.
there's a lot going on, but it's all kinda plotted out and moving, so. There is a lot of pending business, but
We're doing it.
we're doing it. Okay, so, we're doing a great job on this meeting, and, we're gonna give Steve Antell some time to speak to us with ideas and comments about, Morgan Lake, keeping in mind that because this is not an agenda item, which would give the public the opportunity to know we're gonna be discussing and maybe voting on something, we need to have it be kind of advisory or
Informational.
informational is the word, yeah.
Okay.
So, I'm gonna throw it over to Steve.
And if you wanna do some sort of a overview, you can decide if this should be an agenda item in the future.
Right.
Okay.
Okay, so see if we can wrap it up in 10 minutes so we can get out of here at 25 after. Just an update for Morgan Lake, a couple areas. In the past, there was an agreed part to do some revegetation, and the idea was to brought up, Stu brought it up last week, CHD might have some additional funding. So I'm gonna go ahead and prepare some budgets and pass it on to Stu. And there's a map if you'd like, here, and essentially, what's going to happen is, the numbers on the bottom left, those are campsites, and I can go specifically, but essentially, there are a few campsites that are close to one another, and there's going to be some shrubs put between them with a barrier to separate them. That's one of the items. There's also, if you look on the far left in the middle, there's something called Second Dam. On the above the Second Dam, which would be on the east side, from that point there's a curve, and there's going to be some willows and cottonwoods and a few other things placed in there, and I can go in more detail if you'd like. So that's been kind of on the burner for a few years, and maybe it just might happen. So that's on the revegetation part. The other thing is, for people who don't know, there are a lot of trees that have been damaged the past couple of years, and people at the campground, they let their kids get their hatchets and slice it and so forth. So most of the campsites there, the larger trees and even the smaller ones have beginning to get girdled. They're gonna, a couple trees, or it looks like they're gonna die within a year or two. In fact, anyway, they're gonna go fast, and so the recommendation is to get some screen. There are different kinds of screen, and place that around the tree. You can spray the screen black, attach it to the tree, or circle the tree with it, and it's welded shut, and it's to prevent further damage of the trees. And these are big trees, the biggest ones that are out there, like 100 feet tall. They're going, in a few years they're going to lose, maybe 10 or 12 of them. So that's what the thought is on that. And then, Jazzy, last week you came in and you talked about handicap access. And if you look on this map here, on the lower left there's number 6 and 7, and between those two there's actually an existing bathroom, and there's a path that exists of asphalt that extends out to the lake. It's just on the left side of number 6, and that was designated as a handicap access, but it's never been implemented. So the thought is to smooth some of the bumps out of that out. David had an idea of actually painting handicap line access or lines on it, so it's designated as a handicap area, and separate that from the campground. So that might be in the works.
Steve, explain kind of what happens to that access now, how it gets co-opted.
Yeah, very good. Campground 6. There's access from Campground 6 to the asphalt path, which is just above number 6. So anybody who is in Campground 6, and that's a very popular site throughout the entire summer, they actually have, quote, debs on that asphalt, and it goes out to a viewpoint. So anybody who camps, that whole area is closed off. So the idea is to separate it a little bit by vegetation and mark it as handicap access on the asphalt. So the users of Campground 6 won't be able to claim it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's the story on that one.
The other thing to add is State Parks has a way to do this already, where I don't remember, but there's some sort of signage that they have on ADA sites, and it says something to the effect of priority ADA site until a certain time of day, maybe, and if it's unoccupied, then you can use it. I think, I can't remember, but I think that's the sign we need to steal for that area as well.
Yeah, I think, Steve's 100% right, just campground fee payer and user naturally wants to get their territory. There's nothing there that says that that asphalt and that little prime fishing spot is not part of campsite 6. So if we do something to identify it, then if somebody does come who's chairbound or something, they'll say, hey, guys, we have access here, we have priority usage. And if it's marked, and I thought just putting some of those diagonal stripes on on a fresh asphalt would also help. Yeah. Anyway,
Do you wanna
I
entertain?
have a question.
It's up to you, Mr. Chair.
We actually have utilized Morgan Lake probably about 5 years ago, before COVID, and we actually tried to go up there just to see what was going on. But there is a astronomical pothole right as you're going around the turn. It's like 13 feet long, 5 inches deep.
Yep.
There's no way an ADA vehicle is gonna get over
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
So I don't know, do you guys have any plans to restore the road so it is ADA accessible?
So you wanna know the bad news is, we work it every year, and every spring it does that. So,
Okay, 'cause it
it
is,
depends when you go up.
there's no way our wheelchair van will
No.
go over that, nor the cattle guard, or any ADA vehicle for that matter, cause the average height of an ADA vehicle is 4 to 6 inches of
Sure.
clearance.
Yeah, the main entrance when you first go into, from
Yeah.
access from the main road to the park,
Mhm.
like, the cattle guard, I don't know if anybody is aware, but it's like, if you go over this cattle guard with a regular vehicle, let alone an ADA van or a low level vehicle, it's like you're four-wheeling.
Yeah, you might high center on that cattle guard,
okay.
but yeah, that.
Yeah.
And I've noticed in the past couple of years, you guys have made an access route to go around it now.
Well, no,
No.
we didn't make that.
Somebody made it, and now it looks like it's been graded into the route,
Yeah.
so.
Oh, those are good points.
And I mean, there is a really nice new ADA compliant restroom right there.
Yeah.
But we couldn't even like access that with our wheelchair vehicle.
Yeah.
So
It's a great point.
I greatly appreciate your, cause I will drive our truck up there, load her into the truck, load her into a manual chair, and there's usually non-ADA compliant people there, and we kind of just move our way in, or we use the
Yeah.
ADA ramp, or the, what do you call it, the dock, which is really nice, cause that's newer, I'm assuming, cause it's been there maybe, we've been here 15 years, and we've always utilized
Yeah,
Morgan,
5 or 6,
but,
yeah.
yeah, it's,
So we put in the abutment, which would be accessible, and then when Ashley was here in a wheelchair, she's like, okay, here's a couple more, you did a good job, but there's a couple more things you could do. Cause we put stoppers on the dock also for chairs,
yeah,
for that reason,
yeah.
so.
And the other
Yeah, baby steps.
item was on that handicap access is to actually have a sign, handicap access parking area or site adjacent it, so.
That'd be very cool.
Good.
Ramp access.
Great. Couple other items. It was agreed in the past to have a couple signs, 2 signs. And basically these would be small. It just says, keep control of your dog at all times. And one of those would be at campsite number 13. And basically it's at 13, and then if you look right above it, there's that big curve on the east side. And where that curve ends on the right, there's a lot of trees. That's where the second sign is, and the reason why those 2 signs are positioned there is because that is where geese and other wildlife reside during the afternoon and also the morning. And typically, sometimes people with dogs, when they exit out of the woods on the east side, or when they get to the dam, they just let them run loose, and then the dogs like water, and there's the geese, and it's kind of creates things havoc. So it's a trial with what we can do. So those are the signs. 2 other couple of quick ideas. They're older people, older than me, who walk around the lake for exercise. And they do it like a couple times a week, and they had asked me if we might be able to put 2 benches over between the first dam and the existing bathroom. The first bench would be just to the right of the first dam in the shade. The idea is these guys are walking around, and it's a long walk for older people for exercise, even when they're birding, and this would be in the shade. So the idea is to have 1 bench there, 1 bench at the existing bathroom, again in the shade, so people who would like to use the facility for health reasons could have some rest areas. There currently are no benches in the shade at this point except 11 and 12, and those are designated as campgrounds. So that's an idea to toss out. And the only other kind of things really quick is, on this other page here, there's about a 4-page description of some of the biology of the Twin Lake, which is the lake below Morgan Lake, and that could come up for discussion in the next month or two, because that is adjacent where the right-of-way of the power line is going to be, and anyway, there's some thoughts on that, but just to get you an idea of what the significance of that lake is.
So I'll tell you what, I'm gonna ask us to table that for now,
Sure.
and let's,
Yeah, that's all I was going to say.
we got some action items maybe to go on the agenda. What does anybody think? There's a couple of things that we can get things in motion, like the bench idea is probably a very reasonable idea and implementable by the city if we can get some buy-in. And it's an ideal little fundraising thing
It's
too.
actually the opposite of that,
Okay.
because,
Oh, no.
Here we go.
because you can't dig. So you have to have a massive excavator to dig through the rock, and
Uh-huh.
benches are anchored in concrete, so it's really, really difficult to put benches, unless somebody has a better idea. There,
Stu?
go ahead, Steve.
I'd say you can get some heavy chain. There's a tree there, and just wrap it around the just around the tree.
Well, this
Watch
is
this.
exactly the kind of discussion we
Yeah.
could have if it was on the
Yeah,
agenda,
thank you.
because then
Okay,
we could actually
good.
do something
Yeah.
instead of just talking.
Sure,
Yep.
sounds good.
Um,
Good. Yeah.
And,
Yeah, let's just leave it at that, good.
yeah,
We'll leave it at that.
Well, I think
Yeah.
it would help to make sure we have it listed out, right, that we all have access to, like, these are the things that I need to be able to visually kind of get a list of what we'd be talking about.
so maybe we can triangulate that and come
Yep.
up with a reasonable little, agenda package, if you wanna call it that, and,
Darren's asking kind of for a list, so benches, what else?
well, the, improving the handicap path, the
Signage.
disability path, both in terms of, it's got a huge hump in it, like a good 4-inch hump, which I would say is a hazard for a chair. And that needs to get flattened out, and maybe a mini load of asphalt to smooth that out. And then the signage issue. Steve, am I doing okay so far here?
Yeah.
Okay.
Which signage issue, the dogs on leashes or
There was
the?
two, the
Then-
designated campsite and the dogs on leashes are the two that I heard.
Yes.
So both of those?
I would think they're two different things. To me.
They are.
Why the designated campsite?
Well, that's what somebody said.
Oh.
Next to the pathway.
Yeah.
Stu suggested that this is an ADA accessible campsite until
Some-
8
I don't
o'clock.
remember what
You-
state
yeah,
parks
yeah.
does,
But,
yeah.
but if you look, you can let us know.
That would be good.
Yeah.
And also, why don't you put this on for a possible discussion? Is campsite 11 and 12? Those are the ones with the shade, and there currently there's no shade at any of those sites except 13, and 11 and 12. I think could be looked upon as a possible conversion to picnic sites. And if you do that, we can go through the 3 years of records, or we'll have 3 years of records at the end of the year and see how much those sites are being used. But currently, any locals who go up there, if they want a picnic site and if those sites are taken, they're out of luck.
Well,
So-
there's the entire south end of the lake.
Yeah, right, but in terms of the south end, but if you're looking to go ahead and have a picnic area around there, if you have kids and you wanna do some water activities, that's shallow and they don't have, and the boat dock is not available.
Okay, so
So anyway, you can
so
discuss
the
it
agenda item would be possible conversion of one campsite into a picnic site.
or something, yeah,
Um,
but that's
and-
long term.
And then the final one is tree protection.
Oh, yeah, the tree protection.
Back to the signage, I didn't get an answer on that.
Is the dog signage inadequate as it stands?
The dock sign.
Dog,
Dog.
D-O-G.
Yeah,
dog.
because the only sign that is there is on the existing sign where you actually fill out your form. And we had agreed in the past that there were gonna be 2 signs of saying about the dog business and where they're gonna be, but they've never been implemented.
That clear, Stu?
Yep.
Okay.
And that's it.
Yeah, so we can,
Do you wanna ask Carson for her Morgan Lake comments?
I'm sorry,
Or was it yours, Carson's?
I got a question
I'm
as
the
well.
one that spoke up in regards to the access road
But
to
did you say earlier?
Morgan Lake.
You had a question about Morgan Lake?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it was about the like, you guys kind of like answered it about like the, how do you say that word again? The enhancements?
Yeah, the enhancements.
Yeah. That was our question about it, was like, what, like, you
What
guys,
would-
Steve, right? He kind of already talked about it, kind of like what you guys almost are like planning maybe, or like just thinking of.
Where did you hear that there were enhancements that are gonna be done?
It was in the notes that Jazz and I took.
Yeah, so like, I have
previously.
the, I have the notebook right now.
Because it came up during
Yeah.
last meeting's
Yeah.
discussion.
Yeah,
Okay, alright, yep. And here's my canned comment is always the same, you know, we need to cross-reference this with the master plan to make sure that it's still a priority, because we, sometimes have ideas that take us off track. So it's really important to cross-reference, and I'll do that, and I'm sure it's in there. And not these specific things, but just focusing on Morgan Lake needs to be a priority before we spend a lot of meeting time on it. That's always my role, to bring you guys back to, here's what people want. No matter kind of what curveballs or what special interest groups come.
But it seems to me that if this is, we can have a brief discussion depending where it goes, but always make sure that it gets put into the master planning for the going
matrix.
forward. Yeah.
I'll share with that next meeting, cause I know what that is.
You got 7 minutes, man.
All right, well, we can have 7 more minutes of conversation then.
Well, so,
There's another hand up back
Oh,
here.
I do have a question in regards to the.
absolutely, I'm sorry, my back.
No, you're fine. In regards to the leash, perspective, most parks around the state are already implementing, mandatory leash laws. Why are we allowing,
We're not a state park.
Well, we don't have a leash law on the ground is the answer. Our rules, our park ordinance says your pets must be physically or verbally in whatever.
Under
Control.
Control.
yeah, okay.
So there's nothing in our ordinance that says you must have a leash. There's some wiggle room in there. So
There's a state law that states you have to have a leash on you.
I don't know about that. I'm just a city employee.
Gotcha. But yeah, okay.
Probably because it's a lake and there's bird dogs and.
I mean, we're talking about all
Well,
parks.
it's
All
just-
parks cover
yeah.
the ordinance. So
Yeah.
this park, you don't have to have a leash necessarily.
Really?
Riverside Park, all the parks are the same with the ordinance. There's a separate section for Morgan Lake, but it doesn't define dogs or anything like that.
Okay.
Wow.
Yeah, physical or verbal.
Physical or verbal
Yeah.
control or command.
Command control, I think. Yeah.
Yeah.
Cats have to be on a leash, though, right?
Yeah.
Cats on a leash. Yeah. Bunny rabbits have to be on a leash.
Yeah.
Snakes, lizards.
Your parakeets gotta be on a leash.
So, Mr. Chair, just to keep you going, we're under commissioner comments still.
Yes, exactly, yeah. So, after hearing from Mr. Antel, are there any other commissioner comments at the moment?
I just have one question about, Burning Park. It looks like a section of the fence was taken out, is there plans to replace that, or?
No.
I mean, I
There's
assume
a-
it was a
there's a-
traffic accident.
Yeah, that was a hit and run. We have no
Yeah.
information of who damaged it. There's no court case like the other one that we got some funding back for. So I don't have plans to replace it. It creates, there's a safety issue there with Geckler, right, or City
Yeah.
Avenue, if a little kid was to run. But it just never made my list from my parks guys, so. No, I don't, the answer is I don't have plans to replace it.
I have a question about Burning Park. We actually were up there a couple of days ago, and the women's bathroom was full of water. I don't know if that was, like, it looked like maybe because it had just rained a little bit prior, like maybe it came through that vent through the wall, but the floor was
Interesting.
very, very slick and when we used the restroom,
Interesting.
full of water, so.
I'll have my guys go check that.
Further commissioner comments? If there aren't,